Hey guys, I just taken this page is completed, so I just taken a new fresh page. Hyperkalemia, because there may be either increased shift inside the body, or there may be increased intake because of the serum concentration is increasing, or there may be decreased elimination from the body, whichever may be the cause. Okay, decreased elimination, everyone will know. Patient usually having AKI or CKD, patient on end stage renal diseases, all these patients, there will be elimination will be decreased, or patient having hypovolemia, so the volume reaches is less, or the patient having mineralocorticoid deficiency. Mineralocorticoids, what is the mineralocorticoid? You know that aldosterone deficiency. Okay, what is happening in aldosterone deficiency? You will be having decreased sodium and water absorption. For the extent, there will be increased potassium excretion will be there in that. Or else in patient having on potassium sparing diuretics, drugs like potassium sparing diuretics, if the patient is taking spironolactone, or patient having AC inhibitors, a direct renin inhibitors, everything. How it causes? The same mechanism. You know, RAS pathway. Renin will stimulate your angiotensin anagen to angiotensin 2. This angiotensin 2 will stimulate the aldosterone production and increases the sodium and water reabsorption through aquaporin channel 2. What will happen here is, these are, we are sparing potassium sparing, your AC inhibitors will inhibit this pathway, so aldosterone will be formed. The sodium potassium will not be reabsorbed in exchange for potassium excretion, so potassium will start building up inside the body. So these are the some of the causes for decreased elimination. So increased shift, either maybe increased shift or increased intake. You know, some of the foods which increases, some fruits and vegetables, fruits like orange, everything orange and papaya. These are the fruits, and some of the fruits like vegetables like broccoli, cabbage and other spinach. All these vegetables will increases the potassium. So or else the patient is on taking already potassium supplements like Potlor if the patient is taking, and the over the counter patient is taking more amount, that also contribute to the increased levels of potassium inside the body. Increase this shift, you know, that drugs actually, you know, some is potassium is mostly the intracellular. Okay, which are the condition which facilitate the extracellular shift of potassium is actually patient is having some conditions like rhabdomyolysis, the muscle lysis, rhabdomyolysis, or the condition patient with having hemolysis, hemolytic anemia, hemolysis, there is increased shift of potassium outside the cell, or there will be gradient will be the potassium, normally gradient will be there. In patient who having on beta blockers, patient who is on beta blockers, there will be increased shifting. That's why we are using beta agonist as a treatment which facilitate the potassium shift from extracellular to intracellular compartment will be there. Or patient having hyperglycemia, there also there will be increased shift of potassium from inside to outside the cells, so that the potassium concentration inside the cell will be getting reduced. So that's why we are using glucose plus insulin combination as a treatment to facilitate the potassium transfer from extracellular to the intracellular compartment of the intracellular compartment. Okay, so these are the some of the major causes I discussed regarding the hyperkalemia. So ECG changes you have already seen. What are the symptoms if a patient can present with the hyperkalemia? You know, the patient may have muscle weakness. Muscle weakness is the most common, or the patient may have decreased urine output if rhabdomyolysis or anything is there. Muscle weakness, decreased urine output, or the patients may have arrhythmias, muscle weakness may be present as a cramps or twitches, followed by which the arrhythmias may progress. They may be decreased in cardiac contractility, and asystole also can happen. In severe cases, asystole can also result in the patient. I forgot to mention one drug that is the most common we are used in anesthetic practice, was choline, succinylcholine. Because of these receptors, succinylcholine usage with the normal induction dose, it increases the serum potassium levels of about 0.5 milliequivalents per liter. So you have to be more cautious in patient who already having renal failure, or any patient you have to any patient if you are using difficult airway using, you have to know the potassium concentration, you have to titrate the dose, and better if the patient is high risk, then to avoid this, to avoid the arrhythmia related complications. Okay, Next, coming to the treatment part. So treatment part, actually not only you are treating the just the hyperkalemia, you have to correct the cause. You have to identify the cause and correct the cause. That is also most important part of the treatment. Okay, causes, which are the things you have to identify and then treat. First thing is actually you have to cardiac stabilization is the most common in case of hyperkalemia. Cardiac stabilization. How will you stabilize the cell membrane? By giving injection calcium gluconate. Okay, 10 calcium gluconate 10%. You have to give 10 to 20 ml IV over 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, and then it will stabilize the cardiac membrane so that the fatal arrhythmias and arrest due to potassium mediated reactions will be very less. Okay, next is actually in alternative to that can be used is actually your hypertonic saline. How it helps is hypertonic saline, how it helps is actually you have sodium channel in the cardiac cell membrane. The sodium channel become inactive when there is increased potassium levels. The resting membrane potential, when there is increased potassium, the resting membrane potential will be shifted upwards, so that what happened, the sodium channels become inactive. So when you give hypertonic saline, what will happen is there will be gradient between the extracellular and intracellular. Gradient will be increased so that it will shift the more potassium into the cells. Okay, the gradient will increase so that they shift more potassium into the cells, so the resting membrane potential will come to normal, so that the arrhythmia development will be very less. Okay, how calcium helps is calcium salt usually bind to your protein kinase, your calmodulin and protein kinase inside the intracellular pathway, and this activates the sodium channels, inactive sodium channel, whichever the inactive sodium channel is there, it will activate the inactive sodium channels and facilitate the sodium entry, and that it increases the resting membrane because the increased resting membrane potential it was not stabilizing. Now we just reduce the resting membrane potential by influx of the sodium into the cell. So calcium help in facilitation of sodium ions entry into the cell, and thereby it stabilizes the cardiac resting membrane. Okay, sorry, hypertonic saline I mentioned, sorry, hypertonic sodium, that is sodium bicarb. Okay, it creates the gradient between that and it will enter into the cell. Okay, another phase is actually first stabilization part is on, then we have to shift them to the intracellular part. So intracellular shift, how I already mentioned, intracellular shift is facilitated by which are the things we will be having. Either we use 5 units of regular rapid acting regular insulin, 5 units insulin plus in 25% dextrose over 30 minutes, or 10 units insulin in, or 10 units regular insulin in 25% D. But the incidence of hypoglycemia is more reported with 10 units insulin, so it is safest to use 5 units regular insulin in 25% over 30 minutes. Okay, but the sugar value RBS starting should be checked hourly to look for any hyper or hypoglycemia. Okay, the complications are expected complications, so you have to search for if you are giving the drugs, you have to monitor the patient. Another thing I mentioned is you have beta 2 agonist. Beta 2 agonist either by nebulized salbutamol, nebulized salbutamol can be a beta agonist. What beta agonist will do is facilitate the shift from extracellular to the intracellular compartment. That's why I mentioned beta blockers are the drugs which increases the shift from intracellular to the extracellular compartment. Okay, so nebulized salbutamol, 10 milligram nebulization, all things will reduce shift the potassium from outside to inside minutes. So how much, then you know these are the things which are helpful. How much reduction is possible, just why I'm mentioning this is for stabilization, so nothing will be reduced, but this with regular insulin it will reduce 0.5 millimoles per liter reduction will be there, plus or minus 0.2 will be the millimoles, and the reduction will occur within 30 minutes, whereas 10 milligram in nebulized salbutamol will reduce it by, sorry I mentioned this is 0.5, this is 0.25 millimoles reduction, within 60 minutes it will reduce. Okay, this your beta 2 agonist. So next thing is actually we have left with this actually other, if it is not reduced with the above mechanisms, then we have to go for renal dialysis, hemofiltration. Renal dialysis, with the help of dialysate we have to eliminate the you have to shift or eliminate the potassium inside the body. And if diuretics, but this effect are actually unpredictable, diuretics effect are unpredictable in hyperkalemia. It can cause other associated hypomagnesemia, hypocalcemia, hypotension, other complications associated with diuretics are there actually. Okay, so some of this, if all the things are well, if these are the most common used dialysis, finally is dialysis. Some of the newer agents which has been evolved in the today's practices which will limit the absorption is actually your sodium polystyrene sulfonate, which is used 15 gram 1 to 4 times per day, or Patriumab. Other agents will decrease the absorption 8.4 to 25.2 gram per day. And this is the newly introduced sodium zirconium cyclosilicate 10 gram 1 to 3 times per day. So these are some newer agents which will decrease the absorption of the potassium and thereby helping the hyperkalemia. Everything is failed, final is the renal dialysis, hemodialysis we have to do, and then we eliminate the excess potassium inside the body. Okay, so these agents are really difficult to remember for me, so that's why I have written in beforehand and the doses also beforehand, so that I can convey effectively this message to you. Okay, so I discussed today every part of management of what is hyperkalemia, what are the different ECG changes, how will you diagnose, and symptoms followed by causes and management part of the hyperkalemia. So if you have any doubt regarding this, just message me. If you like the video, just put a thumbs up button, and if you really like means you want to see the more videos, just subscribe button, so that it will motivate me to do more videos and proceed in further engagement of your. Okay, thank you guys.